Welcome. My name is Keith Smith, and I've been asked by your PT just to do a short series of short sessions based on information that you might find useful in terms of growing and developing your personal trainer business. This session looks at a specific form of interaction called small talk. So the aim of this session is to explore the importance of small talk in a personal trainer business. My outcomes for this session are to define what small talk actually is, look at different approaches to small talk, look at the importance of small talk, and look at the factors that might affect the type of small talk that we do so it becomes relevant to the individual that's in front of you. So 4 outcomes for today. So let's move on and let's begin. I mentioned this before on a previous session regarding interaction. Small talk is a form of interaction, and for me there are always 3 outcomes from any interaction that I have. It either moves the relationship forward, it keeps the relationship in the same place, or it moves the relationship back. And over the years I've made mistakes with small talk, and it's actually moved the relationship back. I've not really thought about the individual in front of me and the factors that might affect the conversation, and it has moved the relationship back. But hopefully that's not going to happen to you, because you're far more intelligent than I am. So really we're looking at small talk as a type of interaction that hopefully, when delivered effectively, it either moves the relationship forward or it keeps the relationship in the same place. So let's define small talk. Small talk is a specific level of interaction of which there are 3. Acknowledgement, which we've done a session on previously. Big talk, which I explained in the acknowledgement session as questions that individuals don't know the answers to. They have to think about the answers to, which raises awareness about the answer and how it might affect them. But today we're going to talk specifically about small talk. Small talk is defined by a lot of people, this isn't my definition, as polite conversation around non-controversial, everyday topics. So topics that are not controversial. So controversial topics might be politics. Controversial subjects might well be finances. So avoid those sort of questions when having small talk. Small talk can also be defined as conversation that is led by questioning that an individual knows the answers to. It's easy for those to answer. It's about putting them at the centre of the process. If you've ever read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, I think it's habit number 5 is about seek first to understand and then to be understood. It's a basic human need to actually be understood, and by using small talk, the individual that's in front of you is actually feeling understood, which actually decreases anxiety and starts to build trust and actually builds a different level of rapport, which hopefully develops the relationship. So small talk, polite conversation around non-controversial subjects, everyday topics, and a conversation led by questions that an individual knows the answers to. Approaches to small talk is really straightforward. We do it all the time with people that we know. We now need to start relaxing and doing it with members, potential clients, and with clients. Approaches to small talk is really having a library of questions based around non-controversial subjects. So for instance, how are you? How's the family? How was the weekend? And you can think of a lot more. These questions are everyday questions around everyday topics, and they are not controversial in the slightest. The potential client, the member or the client doesn't have to think about the answer. They can just talk to you about them, express how the weekend went, express how the family is, and express how they are without having to think too deeply. The importance of small talk is that it develops the relationship, it maintains the relationship, it continues, just like acknowledgement, which was a form of interaction that we spoke about on a different video. It reduces anxiety and builds trust, and it starts to add value in the mind of the member, the potential client and the client. It really does start to add value. I've been in the industry quite a long time now, and there have been times, and I'm being totally honest with you now, that a member, a potential client, has been so nervous that that initial consultation of 45 minutes has been all small talk. They've been so nervous about the start of their exercise journey that all we've had time for is small talk. And a number of those clients, or a number of those members, are still clients all these years later. If all someone wants to do is have small talk, then that is fine. It really isn't a problem. Remember, personal training is all about them. And you will get into a consultation or a conversation where you think you're going to move into doing some exercise. It's very early on in the relationship, and you suddenly think that this individual is so nervous, so apprehensive about the start of their exercise journey that everything turns into small talk. And if they're happy with that and they come back with a smile on their face, then who are we to criticise that? I showed this slide earlier. I'm going to talk about it again because it does link to the power of small talk. And as you can see in the bottom left hand corner, it says N equals 80,000. This research study done by Dr. Paul Bedford was based on 80,000 members, not 80,000 PT sessions, but 80,000 members. And it was done on their individual yearly journey. And you can see that on the left hand side in the first month, 10% of members purchase PT in their first month of joining. In the middle column, between months 2 and 6, 30% of members in their individual journey purchased PT. 30%. That proves to me that small talk will be vital, because you may have acknowledged them a couple of times and then they want to have a number of chats with you in the cafe, on the gym floor, not really about exercise, but just about getting to know you. And the final column on the right hand side, that 60% of members purchased PT 6 months plus into their individual journey. And again, they want to build relationships. They want to get to know you. They want you to get to know them. They could be anxious. They could be nervous, and they use small talk just to start to build the relationship. So small talk is massive. Polite conversation about non-controversial, everyday topics. How are you? How's the family? What did you do at the weekend? How are the children doing at school? How was the holiday? What workout are you doing today? How was your workout today? Yeah. What other activities are you doing in club? These sort of questions, which are defined under the umbrella of small talk, go a long way in terms of decreasing anxiety, building trust, and more importantly, adding value. And with this slide in particular, be aware, that there are a lot of members in your club right now that are 6 months plus into their fitness journey, and they are desperate for your help. And it might well be that a couple of brief small talk conversations go a long way in terms of reducing their anxiety to work with you, building trust with you, and the fact that being with you adds value to their exercise journey. The factors that we need to consider, just to finish off this session, remembering that small talk is polite conversation around non-controversial everyday topics, or it's conversation that is led by questions that individuals know the answers to. Some factors to consider: how well you know the client, the member themselves, their age, their exercise history. And there's many more questions we can answer, but there certainly are factors that we need to consider to make the small talk as polite and as meaningful as possible to that member that's in front of you. Just one thing, come to the end of this session: small talk always follows acknowledgement. So if you've done the acknowledgement session before this one, then you're on the right lines. If you've joined the small talk one before the acknowledgement, it may well be worth going back and watching the acknowledgement session. Because in every conversation that we have with individuals, there's always some form of acknowledgement before we move into small talk. Even with friends that I've had for 10, 15, 20 years, there's always some form of acknowledgement, a shake of the hand, a hug, before we move on with small talk, before we then move on to having more meaningful conversations, which would be considered to be called or defined as big talk. My aim of this session was to explore the importance of small talk in a PT business. And in terms of the real world value to us as personal trainers, small talk builds and maintains relationship. It reduces anxiety, it builds trust, it adds value. And the final task, just to finish off, have a pause, have a think. How confident and capable are you right now with small talk? And if there's areas that you think you need to develop and work on, what do you need to do better and how could you work on it? I wish you every success on your PT journey. I wish you every success with your PT business, and thank you very much for watching.